Blue Sky deals have landed with KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. Take off to Barcelona, Dubai, Panama, and many more destinations. Book with confidence with our flexible options at klm.ie by 16th September. Fly KLM via Amsterdam from Dublin or Cork Airport. T's and C's apply.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, a part of the Dead End Podcast Network. Please subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all other podcasting services. Please make sure you check out Dead End Hip Hop, Dead End Sports, Dead End Gaming, Is the Mic Still On, Chris Platt's Strictly Hip Hop and Hoops Talk, and a host of other shows on our podcast network. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. You are listening to Any Given Sunday for Sunday, April 18th, 2021. I am your host, Manny Brown, joined as always by my co-host, Josh Rodriguez. Josh, what up?
What's going on, Manny? How you been?
I've been okay, man. I've been okay. It's been one of those weeks, you know, we all have them.
Weeks on the Vanguard, baby. I see you.
Yes. I miss my long and hard week. I paid a visit to the fellas over at the Vanguard. Hopefully some of you guys checked it out. I did my best to promote it, but if you guys didn't, you guys could go check that out. It's a podcast and it's also on YouTube. It's a YouTube live stream as well. So you guys can check out the live stream version or you guys can check out the podcast, but the Vanguard, and they're available on all platforms. So yeah, I had fun, man. I shout out to Zach and Gavin and those boys, man. They really put together a great show.
They do.
And yeah, shout out to them and a fairly new show too. I think they got started late last year. And the fact that they're doing what they're doing now, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. So yeah, check those guys out. It's a political show, so be prepared when you get there. A left-leaning political show at that. So
we prepared them enough, Manny. We prepared them enough.
Yeah. Check them out. Check them out. I was on there, and maybe we're working on it. We're figuring some things out in the future. You know, Josh and I will both be on there. We kind of do a little bit of a mashup there, so it's coming. It's in the works. It's in the works. But yeah, man. What about you, man? What's going on with you? How was your week?
Man, busy work week. My boy band podcast, New Pond on the Block, is back. We record the first episode today.
loving the merch. Loving the merch.
From talking basketball to talking boy bands to probably talking current events, politics. This is going to be one hell of a day.
Hey,
and for some reason, I'm a music producer. I made like a beat every day this week, which is just like something I don't have time for. I don't know. It's been a week.
Well, it just shows your versatility. That's what it is, man. It's like it shows your versatility.
Just like my ADD and insomnia, which however you want to.
Okay, that too. It's a combination of both. It's a combination of both. You know, it's hey man, you're trying to be the greatest podcaster in the world, man. Aren't we all? Right?
So yeah, that's the mission.
Aren't we all? That's the goal, right? That's the goal. Nah, man. Dope, man. Dope. How's the dime? I checked out the episode you guys had. You were also on a podcasting feature game this week. You were on Above the Rim. Shout out to Justin, by the way, has one of the best basketball podcasts around. He's a friend of the show. Check him out. Go support him. All that good stuff.
I was on Above the Rim. Just Blaze, one of the dopest NBA podcasts in the game. Honestly, if I didn't have my own podcast, I'd be like, it's the dopest podcast, but I can't say that I don't have my own podcast. Awesome. And then I was on Guard Up Knicks, which is my friend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Apollo. We grew up playing ball together. He lives in North Carolina now, but he had me on to talk to Knicks, man. And the Knicks won tonight. Julius, 44-10 against the Mavs, 5-game winning streak. Who the hell are we, baby? Let's go.
I told you, man. I told you. They got Tibbs.
Tibbs, man.
I knew it. I was like, Tibbs, the Knicks. It just seemed different. Perfect, man. It just,
and I'll say, we don't have to talk too much about the Knicks, but I will say this, like even during the 50-something game win season that the Knicks had, this season feels different because it legitimately feels like a culture change. Whereas that season just kind of felt like,
and it's a young team. It's kind of homegrown guys.
Yeah,
you know,
like
it's different.
Game win season felt like a crapshoot. It's like, like we have Melo, but we also have like Rasheed Wallace, Jason Kidd, you know, like all these old heads, Prigioni. It's like, this is not sustainable. Like this is probably a 1 or 2 year.
A 1 year thing. Yeah. 1 to 2 year thing.
Whereas now as a Knicks fan, I'm legit excited for not only this year, but the next like 3, 4, 5 years, which is like, I've never felt this way before.
Nah, man, we can talk about the Knicks, bro. Like, hey, listen, you know me, man. I have feelings for the Knicks, man. I love my wife, the Lakers, but I always want to see the Knicks do well. I do want to see the Knicks do well.
We appreciate being your side chick. We appreciate being anyone's side chick.
Hey, listen. Sometimes you need a side chick in sports, babe.
Yeah,
not in real life.
Sports, not in real life.
For my wife who's listening, nah, man. But yeah, talk about the Knicks, man. I mean, it's a different thing, man. Just me from the outside perspective, man. It does feel like the culture has changed. It does feel like you have an adult in the room for the first time in a long time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But it also feels like the fan base, I'm very sensitive to this because I feel like Knicks Twitter hates me. You know, I've been on Twitter for over a decade now, and I have not made fans at Knicks Twitter. I'm convinced that I would be so much more popular as a host and so much more popular on Twitter if I was like a rah, like optimistic, like type of fan. And that's just not who I am. No offense to anybody who's like that, but that's just not who I am. But for the first time in my whole fandom and social media existing, the Knicks fans seem to be in unison. The organization seems to be in unison. The team seems to be in unison. Like, it just seems like we're all on the same page. And I've never felt this. I've never felt this before. It's a brand new feeling, and I love it.
No, man, it's
I want to hug every Knicks fan and tell them I love them. And even though we had past discussions, like, we're still here. You know, we're not going anywhere this year, but we see the steps. No, I feel you, bro, because I feel as a Mets fan, I feel the same way when Cohen took over. Like, it was just like it was just dark clouds throughout, and then all of a sudden the sun just came out, and just like everything was just beaming, everything was just blooming, right? Like, it was different. No. And look, I've had the same fights with Mets Twitter. Like, Mets Twitter hates me. Like, because it's weird. These fan bases and their fans' Twitter page, like, accounts are just like weird because it's overly positive. And it's like, if you make one critical statement, they feel like, oh, you're somehow not a real fan or a hater. Like, why? Like, no, I'm sorry. I can't support everything of my team. Right. Like, part of being a fan is being snarky and angry at your team a lot of times. And also realistic. I mean, as a Knicks fan, I've seen 20-win seasons. Like, what am I going to be optimistic about? Like, really? Right. Like, what is, like, I'm not saying I got to come on and like curse the team out. Like, that's not necessary. But like, if I'm being real, like, if you're tweeting like, yo, you don't want to see this, son, Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, this is like during like, you know, the days where the Knicks were winning 25 games, like
Frank Ntilikina and Kevin
who's going to stop? You don't want to see this. It's like, yo, come, like, stop. Like,
yeah.
Like, I can't do that. Like, I can't. There's just, and I feel like for the first time, Knicks fans have a level head. We all know we're going to get bounced in the first round. No one's like selling like a delusional dream, you know, but we're all happy with the team. We're all happy. What
seed are the Knicks right now?
I think right now they're the 6th seed, which means we'll play Milwaukee in the first round. And honestly, if we take Milwaukee 5-6 games, I'm happy, man. Just don't get blown the F out. That's how I feel.
You know, that's not. That'll be a fun. You know what? I was just gonna say Milwaukee's weird because I can't get a read on that team. Some weeks I love Milwaukee, and then other weeks I don't love Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree. But
Giannis will be a problem. Giannis will be a problem.
And I'll be honest with you, the Knicks half-court offense is going to be a problem in the playoffs when teams can kind of like really buckle down and like scouting reports and things like that. You have to be able to score in the half-court, and the Knicks just don't have enough imagination or playmakers on the offensive end. Julius is having a fantastic year. He is. But like you like the Knicks.
Can I say something about Julius Randle?
Yes.
Obviously, first of all, you guys have him.
He's like your son. He's like your baby.
Yeah, I watched Julius Randle mature from was brought to this earth, as a Laker, and I hated him. I hated when they let him go because I love Julius Randle. I love his passion. I love his energy. He plays hard every single night. He's literally a bull. Like he's just a monster every night, man. He just plays hard. Even games when he's off, he finds a way to contribute on a basketball court. And he's gotten so much better. And I thought he was on track to be this with the Lakers, but he's just gotten so much better. So I hate this narrative like Julius Randle just came out of nowhere, because I've been saying Julius Randle as like he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Like I really like Julius Randle, and I think he's a really, really good. He's not a great player, but he's that next tier.
Yeah,
like in that Tobias Harris range, where he's like on a really great team. Julius Randle's a number 2, number 3 option.
Yeah, which is fantastic. We have that.
Yeah.
And I think with Julius, what it was just kind of consistency and doing it every night. Also, there's a huge
and belief and having a coaching staff and a team that said, "Yo, we believe in you. We want you to be that guy. Go." right? He didn't have that. In LA, he was young and it was a young roster. So it was different in LA. And then once LeBron got there, he was just like, yeah, we don't need this guy anymore. Right. Although I would have loved to see Julius with this group of Lakers to see what happens. But, he goes to New Orleans and that's just, I don't even know what the hell they were doing there. So he just needed a team that just believed in him and let him just kind of like, yo, do your thing. And
he kind of had that last year, and I feel like he tried too hard. I think he forced a lot of things last year. He kind of forced the issue. This year, he's just playing a lot smarter. He's not dribbling to triple teams or double teams. If he's getting doubled, he's kicking it out and finding the open man. And shot selection is so important. Like, you can be the most talented player, and this is like, I hate to rag on somebody, but this is the first person I thought of, but like someone like Trae Young, right? Trae Young has phenomenal range. He can shoot his ass off, but like his shot selection is just like, there's a reason why, you're not shooting a high percentage. It's because like you're deciding to take threes from the logo off the dribble with 18 seconds left on the shot clock. And only 2 people in history have been able to do that consistently. And that's Steven stat.
I feel like Trae Young is literally like the Wish. I don't want to say Wish, but damn, this is going to sound harsh. Trae Young is, I'm trying not to sound harsh. Trae Young is literally like the Target version of Steph Curry. Like, and like he's trying to be that. That's the thing. Like, he's literally trying, but he doesn't have I don't think he has the intangibles that Steph Curry has. Right. So I think it just kind of falls flat in that regard. And I'm not trying to kill him because I like Trae Young. Yeah, but good. It's like, he's really good. He's really, really good. I think it's just weird when I watch him. It's just like, he's really trying to be this. Like if Steph Curry is Nordstrom's, like he's like Target, like it's just literally that guy. But no, I get what you're saying. And Julius is also a point on Tibbs, because I feel like, again, me, I'm a Tibbs fan through and through. I wanted him to be the Lakers coach. I think Tibbs gets a bad rap and got a bad rap, and it just drove me crazy. And I was fighting with NBA Twitter for years, like, oh, Tibbs is terrible. He runs his players to the ground and yada, 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 and all this other shit. And I'm like, they forget that Tibbs developed that Bulls squad. He developed Joakim Noah. He developed Derrick Rose. He developed these guys. He gets credit for that. And I think he's doing the same thing on this team with RJ Barrett and specifically Julius Randle. Like, he doesn't get enough credit for that.
No, 1,000%. And I think what happened in Minnesota kind of gave him a bad rap a little bit. I mean, he was known as a defensive coach, and those teams were just, to be honest with you.
But it was the roster. And look,
you're still supposed to be known as this defensive coach, and you're literally one of the worst teams defensively in the league. So it's kind of like, the roster, but you're Tibbs. I get it, but I give him a complete pass from Minnesota, because Minnesota is a black hole. Literally, look at what they are now. That team has too much talent to literally be vying for a top 5 pick. It's insane to me. It's insane to me. I don't care who it is, because I thought Ryan Saunders had potential to be a nice coach, and that flamed out for whatever the reason. It's just something about Minnesota, man. I just don't know what it is, man. I think it's just an organization that's just poorly run and continues to be poorly run. And so I don't blame Tibbs for that. I really don't. And then you had the whole Jimmy Butler situation where he completely just blew up the franchise. Right. But he was like, looking back on it, Jimmy was right about everything. He was absolutely. Jimmy saw the franchise for what it was. And at the time, we were all like, what the hell is wrong with Jimmy? But then he goes to Miami, he totally vindicates himself. And now Tibbs goes to New York and totally vindicates himself. And it's just like, wow, it wasn't Jimmy, and it wasn't
Jimmy. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe that organization if they keep going the way they're going, they're going to lose Cat.
Oh yeah. They're going to lose him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to stay? Kevin left. Kevin Garnett left. Their best player in franchise history didn't want to stay.
Well, they have a new owner now. So A-Rod, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Shout out to Anthony Edwards for not knowing who the hell he was.
And legitimately did not know. Not like an act. Like, some people said he was trying to troll. No, he didn't know who he was. Like, had no idea. No idea. He wouldn't know Alex Rodriguez.
He knows who J-Lo is, though. He definitely knows who J-Lo is.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It would have been funny if he said, "Oh, A-Rod, isn't he the guy that dates J-Lo?" Like, that's all he knows him for. Like, not his baseball career, or just nah. All I know is A-Rod came like this close to being the Mets owner, which scares me. Literally scares me.
No, you lucked out. You guys lucked out. He was this close to being a Met too, by the way.
Oh, don't. Hey, listen, I've always said this. I wouldn't have minded the A-Rod on the Mets. I know A-Rod's all of his issues, but the guy was a phenomenal player.
I think
juice or new juice.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of his issues with the Yankees was the fact that Jeter was there.
I've always blamed Jeter more for that. I think Jeter
deserves a lot of the blame. I agree with you. First of all, A-Rod, I understand like you're the captain and whatever, and that was your team, but A-Rod's the better shortstop, which is, come on.
Yes. And Jeter never could get over that.
Could not get over that. And he never was welcoming. He wasn't.
No, never.
And a lot of it goes back to comments A-Rod made.
True.
Before.
But Jeter, the SI comments.
If you're the captain, if you're a leader, you bury that hatchet, period.
Yeah.
And you don't publicly show him up, which he's done on the field a few times too.
Plenty of times. No, I'm glad. Because I used to live on the island, and they used to say, because obviously, criticizing Jeter is sacrilege.
Oh, no, you can't. Yeah.
And I said it. I was like, Jeter's a phony for that. Like, Jeter comes off as like, oh, holier than thou. And the media gave him a complete pass on that.
Yeah, the media loves the media. They wouldn't. Because Jeter, once he gets criticized by the media, I mean, he got criticized for the media negotiating his new deal with the Yankees. And
that last one.
And he came back as if like the way he treated the media was like, how dare you? I'm Derek Jeter. Like, I'm negotiating. Like, some things that were, it's like, yo, like, people are reporting what's happening. Like that's all that's happening. And yes, there's gonna be speculation because that's what people are paid to do, is to speculate on what's going on. Like,
it's gonna drive me insane this summer when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Oh my God. If you don't know this, Derek Jeter is one of the most hated people that athletes, as far as I hate, Derek Jeter is like one or two. I cannot stand him. I cannot stand Derek Jeter. I think he's overrated. I think Yankee fans and the media have overrated Derek. Look, I'm not crazy. Derek Jeter deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, I think he's great in the sense that he's a great player. But I think he's been overhyped his entire career. Like, if Derek Jeter played in Kansas City, he'd be like, oh, he's Derek Jeter. Not like he'd be Craig Biggio. He'd be a better Craig Biggio. Like, and I think that being in the Yankees, winning and I get it, you win championships, you're in World Series constantly, your stature gets elevated a little bit. But I feel like, I don't know, man. It's something. Something about him, the dating the different girls, he's so really, this, and he's
a very handsome guy. It just is what it is. But then it's also like, Yankees had a dynasty, man. That 4 to 5 year period was like, and this
was he the best player? Was he the best player in those dynasties?
No. I would argue that Bernie Williams was the most important player and best player.
Bernie was the best player for about a 4 or 5 year period. Bernie was the best player.
Bernie and Tino were probably the two best players on that team.
And Mariano. I argue Mariano was the best player on the team.
Yeah, you can argue that as well. So I do get that, but Jeter did have some ridiculously huge moments during that time period. I mean, ridiculously huge moments.
Look,
he got helped out with a fan reaching over the fence. That helped Jeffrey Mayer. The home run, Mr. November, was huge. The flip in Oakland was huge. I mean, Jeter. Listen, man, look at his playoff numbers. He was no effing joke.
No, look, listen. I'm not taking. Yeah. I know. I'm sounding like a hater right now. I'm not.
No, you're not. I understand what you're saying. It's people act like he's Michael Jordan when he wasn't even the Michael Jordan of his team. He wasn't even the best player on his team. So how can you be Jordan if you weren't even the best player on your team?
No. And then there's like literally Yankee fans that put him in the top 5 Yankees of all time. Like, what? Basically, first of all, the Yankees have it's ridiculous the level of play. I'm like, he's not better than Babe Ruth. He's not better than Gehrig. He's not better than Mantle. He's not better than Mantle. He's not better than DiMaggio. And then 5, like, I'd argue at his peak, Mattingly was better than Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Now with Mattingly, it just flamed out because of his back. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's just something about Jeter that just always I can't stand him.
I think you see through him. And it's not to talk shit about him, but at the same time, like, he has like this spotless reputation, and you kind of know he's a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick. I think
that's what it is. So it's like, okay, like, I get it. Like, he's fantastic. He's a Hall of Famer, but this like church boy image that he has,
fawning of him.
Yeah.
Like if he farts, like, oh, look at Derek Jeter. The class in which he farts. It's just
you have never felt smelt a fart like this. Like potpourri.
I don't even know. How the hell did we get on Derek Jeter? How the hell did we get to Derek Jeter? It's one of those shows, folks. Exactly. It's one of those shows, guys. We're just, We're out there. Nah, man. But going back to the Knicks, I'm happy, right, man. Yeah, I don't know how we veered to Derek Jeter, but we got there. Nah, man, I'm happy. I'm happy for the Knicks, man. I'm really truly happy. I feel like, and I'm glad, and I also hope that they don't screw it up a la Donnie Nelson, in the sense that let Tibbs, I forget his face, who's in the front office, run this team, build a core, build a tradition and a process of winning, and then go out there and splurge on free agents. Then go out there and find that great player. We'll see. The Knicks have never been disciplined. I don't think anybody would ever mistake the Knicks as being disciplined in anything. And you still have the specter of James Dolan that can lure his ugly head at any moment.
Yeah, I think the cool thing, and this is, it might just be fortunate, because there's like really no huge free agent out there that the Knicks can, like, Kawhi might be able to opt out and come to New York, but like,
he's not coming.
There's no LeBron, there's no KD, like there's no Giannis. So like James Dolan doesn't have any of these shiny toys to like distract him. And that might be a good thing. There's not going to be a free agent that we can actually go after. Like, we're going to have to actually build this team from the bottom up and not be bailed out. So,
well, you already know the rumors, right? Zion apparently is going to be a Knick in like 4 years. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Or Cat. That's the only one that I hear a lot. Like Karl Anthony Towns.
I think someone will come. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure out who it's going to be.
No, don't waste your time. And then it's like, if it is Cat, like, I don't know. I think Cat is overrated, personally. Like, I think he's a guy that fills up the stat sheet, but he's not a great player in the sense, like, it's like, you know what he is? Cat is, it's going to sound horrible. I'm a hot take machine tonight. Fuck it. I think Cat is a lot like Kevin Love in Minnesota, where he just puts up these gaudy stats, but again, the team never wins. And if he's such a great player, like, you can't tell me that you 37 wins. I'm not even asking for 41 and 41. Like, right. 37 wins, and that team is just a toilet every year.
Yeah,
every year.
Just because Anthony Edwards is probably going to shape out to be a nice player. You had Wiggins, you had Zach LaVine. They had talent. They always had talent
on the team.
Jimmy Butler.
It's just and I know somebody's going to hear this and say I'm crazy. No, I'm serious. And look, I'm not saying he's not talented. He's uber talented. And I like him as a kid. Like, I think he's a nice kid. He seems like he's a good person. I feel terrible about his mom. It's just awful. Like, I like Cat. I don't know. I think an organization is going to be fooled into thinking that Karl Anthony Towns is a superstar. Let's pay him a supermax contract. And it's like, he's just kind of a stat sheet stuffer who's going to be good statistically, but he's not going to help you win really much games. And he's not a superstar. He's not a superstar. That's the thing about it too. Like, we want to classify guys as superstars. LeBron is a superstar. KD is a superstar. Anthony Davis is a superstar. Kawhi is a superstar. There's a superstar, meaning those are guys that carry teams. That literally you put him in a situation and automatically the conversation changes. Is Karl Anthony Towns that guy? I don't think so.
No, because if he was, Minnesota would be better.
Absolutely. Now, Zion
could be. We don't know yet.
Zion, I think
he could be. Because he's still in New Orleans. This is his second year, and granted, it's only second year, so you can't put too many expectations. But let's just say he stays in New Orleans. By year 4 or 5, Zion, you got to start, just get to the playoffs at least.
They will. That team has got too much talent, man. And they're close this year.
Lonzo's going to be gone.
If they keep Lonzo, then I think they'll be straight.
Lonzo's gone.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
We shall see.
Yep.
We shall see. But yeah, man, kudos to your Knicks, man. Kudos to your Knicks.
Feels good to be a Knicks fan.
Yeah, for sure. We were going to start on politics, but since we're on the topic of basketball, I guess we'll talk about some basketball items. Jamal Murray's injury, man. That was I love to see it because I'm a Laker fan, but I hated to see it on a human level.
And then Donovan today.
Yeah. I haven't been checking the updates on Donovan. We're recording on Friday, by the way, folks. So if this comes out by Sunday, obviously it'll come out on Sunday. We'll have more info. But it looks like it was a lower ankle sprain.
Yeah, I'm trying to check it out right now. But I mean,
last I heard, it was a lower ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain.
How much do you attribute this to the schedule?
I've seen that conversation floated around, obviously on Twitter. I don't know, man. I think these things are cyclical. I really do. I think anybody thinks that like Jamal Murray doesn't tear his ACL in a regular structured season in the NBA. No, he does. Like, I think the schedule has something to do with it. I'm not qualified enough to know how much, right? Like, at the end of the day, these are superstar Uber athletes. I mean, all world athletes with great conditioning. So you would think they'd be prepared for the workload. Obviously, some indications are that they're not. I'm not going to go there. I think that's a cheap thing, and it's an easy thing to say. Like, oh yeah, well, had they played a normal schedule, those structured well, less less back to backs and all that. Like, yeah, sure. I guess if you want to go down in that conversation, sure, but I don't think there's evidence to support that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either. It's kind of hard to tell what injuries would have happened and which ones wouldn't have, and also like the KDs and the ADs and like they're being held out longer than. I mean, this is speculative, but I think a lot of these injuries they're being held out longer than they should have, or they're being.
Oh, I agree completely. This season is a sham. It's a sham, man. Let's be honest, bro. Like, the problem with the NBA is the regular season is a joke. It's become the NBA regular season has become a joke. Like, I am a Laker fan. Through and through, passionate, bleed purple and gold. And I don't pay attention to the regular season. I'll check in big games. I know what's going on. I'm listening to my Lakers. I'm following my Lakers. I'm listening to Locked On Lakers. Like, I know what's going on, but I'm not sitting there investing time and energy to watch Lakers Hornets on a Tuesday night. Like, if it's on, great. I'll watch it. I'll follow it because I know that this is just one big ass scrimmage for the playoffs.
And it sucks. Like, back in the day when we were growing up, like, if the Jazz were playing the Sonics, you knew damn well you were seeing Stockton, Malone, Peyton, and Kemp. Like, you knew it. Like, whenever the Knicks played the Hornets, I knew Larry Johnson and Zoe were playing. Whenever they played the Bulls, I knew Jordan was playing. Whenever they played the Pacers, I knew Reggie was going to be there. Like, it's just now. And they knew vice versa. When you play the Knicks, Starks, Ewing, and Oakley were coming for your ass every fucking day, and that doesn't exist anymore. It's like, oh, Kyrie's out today just because.
Yeah. Kawhi sneezed and hurt his ankle.
Kawhi just wanted to stay home in San Diego. There's traffic on the 5.
Right.
Like,
it's bad. I think the NBA has a problem, man. I really, really do.
No, I agree.
And I think they have to address this, man. I think they have to address this, man.
I think
cannot have. No. Go ahead. My bad.
I think this season. I just want to say. I think this season opened up my eyes, but I think you were going to say what I was saying.
Yeah, it's opened up my eyes, but although I felt this way for years. And I feel like they have to really address this. I really do. I don't agree with the playing tournament. I just, to me, that's just, ugh. To me, having a playing tournament with mediocre teams that are playing for the right to get slaughtered by the Lakers or Brooklyn, like, that doesn't excite me. Like, what does that do exactly? Like,
right.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting if like a Golden State won, because I think Golden State with that championship pedigree, Steph Curry can go wild in a series I trust Steph Curry and Draymond in a series more than I trust Phoenix. I really do. Or even Utah, especially now with this injury. So I think Golden State would be the only one that would interest me if they got in the tournament and they got into that playing game and somehow made the 8th seed or the 7th seed. But other than that, like, am I really supposed to get excited that the Kings win the playing tournament and then they get slaughtered by
or the Grizzlies?
Whoever.
It's like the equivalent of like that 16 seed in March Madness. Yeah. It's like, oh, Northwest Central, Southwest corner of Arkansas State just beat Holy Mary, Mother of Jesus.
But at the very least, that 16th seed has earned it, and it's like they've won a conference championship. Like, these are just mediocre to bad NBA teams that are just fighting to. I don't think that helps. I don't think the mom in Utah is going to sit there and say, "Gosh, I got to go home and watch Kings and Pelicans for the playing game." Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And I think the NBA,
unless you're a fan of those teams. I mean, as someone who loves just competition, I probably would watch it, but it doesn't have the same effect.
Oh, sure. We do a show. Of course, we're going to watch it and follow it.
It doesn't have the same effect of like the MLB playing a game, right? That's freaking dope because like Twins, Tigers, whatever it could be, like you could make a case that like you saw the Nationals do it. You in that playing game, now you're in. You can go to the damn World Series and win the whole damn thing because anything could happen in baseball. Hockey doesn't have one, but if hockey had that, you see 8 seeds go to the finals. It's not all the time, but it happens sometimes. And football, same thing.
And I want to say this, right? Because everybody knows I'm a baseball guy. Yes, 162 games is a long ass season. And I'm not saying that all 162 games matter, but the baseball season feels important. It feels important. Yeah, maybe one game might not be an issue. But if you lose a 2 out of 3 to a series and then you go on a 10 of 12 slump, that can really cost you a division or a wild card. You got to think about it. Baseball plays 162 games and 6 teams get in. Literally, that's it. 6 teams. One of which will be knocked out in one game. And then you have 5. So that's what I'm saying. Like the distribution, like in the NBA, you play 82 games and 16 teams get in.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And the NHL has the same problem too, by the way. I'm not just ragging on the NBA. The NHL regular season doesn't matter. But the difference between the NBA is that the NHL postseason is just because you can see an 8th seed beat a 1 seed easily.
So the NHL regular season kind of does matter because like if there's a race for 8th spot between 3 teams, that spot matters. That spot really does matter. Whereas like, I don't really care between the Spurs, Grizzlies, and Pelicans who gets the 8th. Like who the hell cares? They're gonna get
because they have no right. Yeah. Again, maybe Golden State just because of their pedigree is the only one that you would be like, oh, okay, that's a little interesting.
But I would just rather see Golden State make it. I don't want to see them play the Grizzlies once or twice. Like just give me Steph Curry. Give me a guaranteed 4 games of Steph Curry.
I agree completely. The NBA from a ratings perspective, and I never want to be that guy, it's for ratings. But who moves the needle more? Steph Curry and Golden State or, Ja Morant and Memphis?
Yeah.
It's just that it's a business too, folks. Like it's an entertainment industry. Like, man, I think the NBA has some problems, man. And I think it's unfair to just say like, oh, Jamal Murray's injury is contributed to the schedule. Like,
right.
I'm sorry. I just don't buy it. These things are cyclical. Watch next year, like 40 other guys get injured and then all of a sudden, it's the schedule, but the schedule's different this year. So
I think people are just frustrated with the lack of stars that you're seeing. Like, I think that's what it is. And I think people are kind of overreacting to it. I mean, I do think that there are some problems with it. I think players are more tired and maybe it's causing coaches to kind of rest their players with a lighter hand than usual. But injuries and ACL tears and ankle.
Do you think reducing the season is eventually the ultimate? I think they're gonna have to, man. I think the days of 82 games it's gone. It's come and gone. Now I think it's unrealistic because owners never give up money, right? They always if the NBA could do 100 game season, they'd do it. 82 games just seems like a lot, man. Like really 82 games.
It's crazy. Like back in the day, it never felt that way. Now it never.
Yeah, now it does. Right.
Now it does because we're not.
The game changes. The game changes. Like back in the day, I would have never said to you, "Oh, I need to see a DH in the National League." Now I'm like,
"Give me the DH."
I don't need to see Jacob deGrom bat. Like I don't. Like things change, man.
He's not that bad of a hitter, is he?
No, he's not that bad. But I'm just saying in general, like I just don't need to see pitchers bat. You know what I mean? So I think the same thing with the NBA. Like I back in the day, I would have said 82 games. Who cares? Like yeah, that's fine. Everybody's played 82 games since the beginning, right?
I wish there was like a clause in the contract where it's like, all right, Kawhi, you signed this much of a deal, you have to play at least this many games, barring serious medical.
I think that that's what's going to happen, but I don't know how you get that through the CBA though. Like I don't think how you get that through, right? Because there's no way you could do that.
Because at the end of the day, the Kawhis, the Kevin Durant's, the Anthony Davises, like we're hating this because we're not seeing them, but they want this. This is what they want. So. That's another thing we have to take into consideration. It's like, it's not like these players are clamoring to play. I mean, there aren't many players in the NBA who like are banging the table. Like, I want to play today and you're keeping me out.
I will never forget. I've told this story on the show before, but I will never forget. I literally was driving and it was like the start of like the 2013 NBA season. Whenever DeMarcus Cousins was like in Sacramento. And I'm driving then I just, how you just drive, you turn on the radio, it's just kind of on as background noise. But I specifically remember hearing like an update. I don't remember what the sports radio, it was probably like Mad Dog Radio or something. Yeah. And I hear the update and like, oh, DeMarcus Cousins is sitting for rest. And it's like literally the 10th game of the NBA regular season. And I'm like, first of all, why is DeMarcus Cousins resting in the 10th game of the regular season?
Yeah.
2, it's the fucking Kings. Like you need to win as many games as possible. You don't need to rest nobody.
Right.
Like, it was just like, I'll never forget that. Like that was like, really, this is the world.
But baseball's starting to go that way too, by the way. I mean, I know we're trying to switching sports here, but like Aaron Judge is resting. And the thing that
but it's Aaron Judge because he's so injury prone.
But like, it's fucking baseball, dude. Like come on. I get that. Like, these are you are a professional athlete in your 20s, in the prime of your life. You're telling me you can't stand out in right field for 9 innings? Come on, man.
You're right. The only thing I would add to that is the structure in baseball is like you're playing every day, and that does tend to wear on you. The NBA, you're not playing every day in the NBA. And I'm not trying to defend like Aaron Judge versus like Kawhi. It's two different skills.
I don't think that baseball takes that much energy. I just don't. I think if you're in right field, on average, you get about 2 or 3 plays a game that you have to make, and then you get to bat 4 times. If you hit the ball, you got to run once. Like, the amount of energy it takes to baseball is a joke compared to everything else. No,
true. That you're 100% true. I think it doesn't. I think resting like game 17 of the MLB season, like, no, yeah, that's a joke. Now, I will say, like, August and September, you've been playing for 6 months. It's every day. It's a grind.
It's more mentally exhausting.
It is more mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
And look,
and I'll say catchers have it bad. Catchers is a position
pitchers, yeah. I get what you're saying. The one thing I would add, right, is also a lot of sports science and sports medicine is going in this direction of saying, like, no, you need more rest for longer periods of greatness and ability. They're stressing, maybe structuring out the rest. And I get that. I understand that helps keep the players healthy, but I think there's a fine balance. You're at the end of the day, you're still running a business. This is a TV show. This is a product that people want to see. And it's like, you can't have this. You can't have where players are just not playing. If I was a Clippers fan, I'd be going crazy. Like, I don't know what day Kawhi plays. If he plays this game, doesn't play that game. Paul George, if he plays that game, he plays this game. It's bad. It's bad.
And it also, I was like, as someone who likes to go to games, right? Let's just say I'm in New York. West Coast teams only come around one time. What if I want to see Kawhi play? The Clippers play in New York one time, and my son or daughter is a Kawhi fan.
Absolutely.
Kawhi comes, you get tickets for his or her birthday. Day comes, and now for the game. Oh, Kawhi just didn't feel like playing today. Like, what?
What are we doing? Yeah, what are we doing? What if Michael Jordan would have said, "Yeah, Michael Jordan's taking days off for personal reasons"? Like,
right. Well, no one in the 90s did that ever.
No, and I don't want to make this like, the 90s was so much better. That's tired. Yeah. But what I'm saying is just like, it's because I feel like people defend this and like, it's not that bad, or you got to see it from their perspective. I'm like, no, this is bad. At the end of the day, this is still a product. This is still this is still television. This is still, a product that you're selling to people, and you have to have your players play. You just have to. And I don't know how you fix it. I really don't. I don't know. I know how to fix the regular season. I think you lessen the schedule. I think 60 games, 62 games, a crisp 62 games. Start, I don't know, November 1st, right after the World Series ends, start, and then end right in April. And then you just go into the playoffs. I think you would shorten it ideally, I would start November, finish around April, mid to late April. 5-game first round. I don't need a 7-game first round. I don't.
The 5-game first rounds were so much better. So much better.
I have been clamoring for the 5-game first rounds forever. And
much better.
Like, we're never getting them back.
The 1-8 was possible. Was so possible. We saw the Knicks do it in Miami. We saw the Nuggets do it against Seattle. And there were times where like the 1-8 or 2-7 went to a 5th game, whether or not the 7 or 8 seed won. Like, it can get competitive. Like, it can get serious. You lose game 1 if you're a 1 or 2 seed, then all of a sudden it's like, oh snap! Like, this can get serious. I'm with you, man. Bring back the 5-game first round. That was dope.
I would bring back the 5-game first round. I keep the rest of the postseason the same. Honestly, I'm also in favor of just doing 1 through 16, the 16 best teams. I think the days of like Eastern Conference, but that's done to me. I'd have the 16 best. I think that one's less likely. But I would strongly consider that. Everything else I'm doing. 5-game first round, 62-game regular season. I think something has to be done. I think Silver and his boys have to think about something. This playing game ain't it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But they'll never go for the 5-game first round because that's less money in their pockets. That's less games.
I agree. What were your thoughts on LaMarcus Aldridge's sudden retirement?
So as someone who had an irregular heartbeat and actually missed my freshman year of baseball because of it, I know exactly like what he's going through. Actually, I don't know exactly what he's going through. I haven't been at the height of my professional career and then have it taken away from me because of a medical condition, but I do know what it's like to have that condition. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel very bad. I mean, in the sense that like one day you're a professional athlete, the next day you're not. I think, good for him. That fact that, he's not in his prime anymore. So it's not like there were things that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. It's not like he was 27, just about to get a payday.
Like he had a great career. If anything, I feel bad.
Underrated career.
Yeah. I mean, he was the last of his kind, mid-range, big guy, post up. I mean, he was probably the last of his kind, and he could have won a championship this year. So that's something else that, I kind of feel bad for. But at the end of the day, like I said, he had a whole career. He had a full career. If I'm LaMarcus Aldridge, maybe I'm a little like, I could have won a championship this year, but I'm proud of the career I had. He's one of the better power forwards of this generation. Definitely a top 5 Blazer of all time.
Yep.
And, shout out to him. I just feel bad because I had irregular heartbeat issues growing up, and it prevented me from playing my freshman year baseball and almost prevented me playing my sophomore year in basketball. I got very lucky. My coach we basically put it this way. If the county knew what happened, our team would have been suspended. I wasn't supposed to play basketball my sophomore year in high school. We just leave it at that.
So I'll get back to LaMarcus Aldridge in a second. But so with an irregular heartbeat, I guess are you limited in what you can do because it's irregular? Like what is it? Like just break it down.
So what happened with me? It started my freshman year. I was just in homeroom, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. I wasn't, but I felt like I was having a heart attack. It passed. Happened again. And I just went to my mom, like, Mom, I don't know how to say it. My heart hurts, and I don't know why. I'm not passing out, but there are times where I'll be in class and I just it's like this pain. And then I went to, get an EKG. That happened. And they were just basically we can't pass, you just can't pass a physical. That's what it is. And mine wasn't as serious as maybe LaMarcus's is, but I couldn't pass a physical because they were afraid that basically I'd put too much stress on my heart and something would happen. So I think his case might be a little more serious, a little different, but my heart was beating. It was beating fat. It was instead of going do 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 do, it was like do 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 do.
Wow.
Do 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 do. It was
it was making beats back there. That's when you got your music taste from.
That's exactly. Coincidentally, that's when I started making music. Actually, it's funny. So yeah, and then my sophomore year, supposed to play varsity basketball, couldn't pass a physical in time, so I missed out on that. Then was going to try out for because JV tryouts are 2 weeks after, or a week after, because the varsity team starts earlier. So then I went to try out for JV, couldn't pass a physical again. I transferred schools my second year. So I went to North Rockland High School my freshman year. I went to Albertus Magnus my sophomore year. And this is my first year at Albertus. So no one knew who I was really. And the JV coach had no idea who I was. I had some kids who played with me throughout my life, basically convinced the coach, hey, listen, there's this kid, Josh, he couldn't make tryouts. Let him practice with us once. He's good enough to be on the team, XYZ. Didn't pass a physical, had no documentation, showed up. It's JV. So you don't, all these rules don't apply like they do with varsity. Mm-hmm. Showed up. First 5 minutes of practice, coach comes up to me. He's like, "You're on the team." I was like, "Thanks." That's all it was. Never passed a physical that year.
Wow, that's great. That's interesting because I've never met anybody. I mean, I'm sure I have, but I'm saying I've never actually talked to anybody about an irregular heartbeat. Because so then it's it's weird. What is the impediment? Obviously, the irregular heartbeat.
Yeah, it just felt like someone was. Sometimes it just feel like someone was squeezing my heart.
So then, as an organization or as a team, you're kind of afraid to put this person in a competitive situation where they have to their heart rate or whatever because you just don't know what's going to happen. So yeah. Now I get it. Okay, so going back to LaMarcus Aldridge, man, that caught me off guard, man. I was like, wow, that came out of nowhere. And then you wonder how long has he been playing with it? Because he's had a long career. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, Pop said there was something 3 years ago where there was a scary situation. I'm surprised it never got leaked to the media. So yeah, he's probably had it for a while. And like, I felt like I could have played. Like, even though I didn't pass my physical my freshman year of baseball, that year, the whole spring, I went home and I played one-on-one with my friend Angelo.
Are you easily tired? Is it more fatigue? No. It's nothing.
No, for me, it just every once in a while my heart would hurt. That's what it felt for me. It felt like every once in a while, if I was just randomly, if I had some like fried food or like, it just felt like my heart was like someone was like squeezing my heart. It felt like my heart was working too hard.
Like heartburn on steroids, basically.
Yeah. And but I still played like during the baseballs, I still played basketball. Like that's how me and my friend Angelo got close, because my freshman year of high school, I couldn't play baseball. He was home. I was home. We just played ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. No, man. Shout out to LaMarcus Aldridge. I was a little saddened because like you said, he is the last of his kind. I think he had a really underrated career.
Oh yeah.
I think he's been one of the most underrated players. Like, I think he's a great player. Like, I think he was underrated. I think the problem was he played in Portland, and let's be fair, for as great as Portland is as a franchise, it's Portland, and they're on late on the East Coast. You just got he's just there, and I think his game's just not sexy. You know what I mean? He was just kind of he had old school he had old man game. Literally, he had old man game at 21. Like, it was weird. No, he had a career. Yeah, she was phenomenal. I love LaMarcus Aldridge. I was always a big fan. I think he was an underrated player. I hated the fact that he just never got the attention that I think he deserved. He should have
stayed in Portland.
I agree. Should have stayed in Portland, especially with Damian Lillard. Who knows where that friend? I mean, you think about it: Damian Lillard, CJ, Dame.
I mean, they made it to the second round with those guys. It was him, Batum. Like, they had a little Wesley Matthews.
They had a squad. They had listen, don't bring up Portland, because I'll instantly tell you about Brandon Roy. I love.
Oh, man.
Roy. I loved
Brandon Roy is on the all what if team.
Bro, when I tell you I loved Brandon Roy, I loved Brandon. Brandon Roy was a shame, man.
Brandon Roy ended my childlike fandom. Like, you know how, like, when you look up to a team and it's like you get angry when the Knicks lose, or like I used to get irrational anger when the Knicks lost. And then one time the Blazers were playing the Knicks. I'll never forget this. Brandon Roy hit a game-winning jumper or whatever it was against the Knicks. And I got so upset. And this girl came to visit my roommate, and I was upset. And as soon as she walked in, my roommate goes, "Not now." Like, he's in a bad mood. And when he said that, I don't know what, a switch in me flipped. Like, why am I this angry? Like, I shouldn't be this angry. Like, I don't know these guys. And ever since that day, like, I've been able to like rationalize and like.
I wish I could do it.
I wish I got the Knicks. I want the Knicks to win, and I cheer for them, but like I don't let it ruin my day.
Oh, no, the Jets and the Mets ruined my day. like the Lakers don't ruin my day. The Duke doesn't ruin my day, but the Mets and the Jets, man, I've dead ass canceled podcast episodes because I was so fucking mad at the Mets. Like,
that happened with us, the Mets, opening day.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
That happened with us.
Yes, it did. I was like, I was just like, my wife was like, "You're okay?" I was like, I was so fucking pissed off that I was just like, "Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm doing it." I text Chad, I was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the listen."
Because it was like, it's a new year. You're excited as a Met fan, and then they lose in the same exact fashion that they've been losing for the past few years.
Oh,
I felt for you on that one, because I was like, damn, the bull again. Like, you just can't catch a break.
I literally have, like, I've not gone to date nights. Like, I know, and I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm fucked up in the head. This is what I'm going to like, this is don't do this, please. It's not. This is not normal. Nah, man. So yeah, I feel you on that. But yeah, Brandon Roy, bro. He just he was like the one injury, him and like David Wright, where I just like, why God, Wright, like, man. Why? It's like, you just like, it almost felt like God was just trolling and just playing a game on folks, because like Brandon Roy in the literally entering the prime of his career, and he just has been, and then also I kind of always, I'm sensitive to injuries because I'm dealing with my own stuff here. Just being in the Army, I have neck issues, back issues, whatever, knee issues, obviously. So I'm always kind of sensitive to injuries, and I kind of relate and personalize it, because I'm like, damn, I'm going through something, obviously not the same level, but Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Shout out to LaMarcus Aldridge, man. I applaud him, man. Kudos. He had a great career, like you said. Accomplished a lot. Didn't win that championship that I think he was chasing there at the end, but yeah, hopefully, he's made. You would think he's got money in the bank. Beautiful family.
Yep.
Hey, man. Applause to you.
Fine.
Man. He's good.
Fine.
He's good. He's good. Yeah. And I'm not trying to make it sound like he's basically Audie Murphy, died in war or some shit. Like, no, he's
right.
he's good.
He's still alive.
He's good. But yeah, man, shout out to LaMarcus Aldridge. And like you said, he is literally the last of his era, last of his kind in a sense. Yep. Yeah. It's wild to think of. Okay, man. I think we could transition a little bit to Biden. Pulling out of Afghanistan, man. Finally, after
you believe it?
After 20 years, I don't believe it. I'm cautiously optimistic because we've been here so many times, obviously, right? I think this time is different. I think setting a date. I think the press conference. We can hold them accountable for. I'll say this right now: if all soldiers are pulled out of Afghanistan by September 11th, like Biden is saying, he has my vote for re-election. I don't care what else he does.
This is huge.
People don't really. Yeah.
I mean, we all have our issues, and listen, and this is where I trip myself up because I think this is where people think I give the establishment too much credit. But I'm going to give this is me defending the Ilhan Omars and the AOCs. I think a big reason why Biden's presidency is a little more left than people think is because of people like you and I, Manny, and people like the Vanguard and people like the Squad putting out leftist ideas and putting pressure on Biden to have a more leftist administration. Because I don't think I think this is a victory for us, man. I really do. Absolutely. I don't think this happens if it's not for our voices being heard and being out there and then your Kyle Kalinskis and your Sam Cedars and your Michael Brooks and your Jimmy Dores and everybody on the left.
I know that pained you.
It did, but I mean, listen.
No, I'm kidding.
Tactically, I can't Jimmy and I don't whatever, but Jimmy and I have the same beliefs on some things, and I think that for the most part, I think the Squad having a progressive. This is what I'm talking about. Like, has AOC disappointed me in certain ways? Yes. Has Ilhan Omar? Yes. They all, in certain ways, they've been a little bit too catery to the establishment, quote unquote. But at the same time, they did bring in ideas and they did bring in a vibe that's like, hey, we're moving left as a country. You're going to have to move left with us. So whether or not we draft legislation and you pass it through the House, there's still this thing out there where it's like the people agree with us. And I think Biden knows that. And
the polls show it. And the polls show it.
And Biden, I mean, to his credit, I'm not going to give him too much credit, but to my surprise, he has governed way more left than I thought he would. He has, and I'm not saying it's left enough.
Yeah, look,
I'm not doing cartwweels in my room.
He's not FDR. I wish, right?
Please, but I think that if he's able to get the troops home from Afghanistan by September 11th, same man. I mean, this is the issue that got me into politics. Like I said before, and especially for you, same. This is very personal for you that you served. I didn't serve, but I always had in my head before I understood healthcare, before I understood, social job, before I understood anything. I remember my thought always being like, why are we in other countries? Like, why are we killing innocent people? Why are we doing X, Y, Z? Why are we dying? Like, knowing that like people are dying in countries that we shouldn't even be occupying. Like, why are Americans dying in countries like Yemen and Afghanistan, in Iraq,
in untenable situations, unwinnable situations?
And that's like the one issue that, of course, made me think I was libertarian for like 2 seconds.
I want to see Libertarian Josh so bad. Like, if I could just be a fly on the wall and there was like an old YouTube snippet of you being a libertarian, I want to see that shit.
It all revolved around foreign policy. That was the first issue.
That is my baby right there, man. Yeah. I'm, which would surprise some people because, obviously I'm so passionate about different leftist and socialist agendas, but foreign policy is my baby, man. Like, I think the American foreign policy has been a failure for 40, 50 years now.
Question for you. While you were serving, did you think that? Like, what was your mindset?
I thought it before I joined. I thought I was like, I've always been anti these two wars. I was anti-Iraq.
So then why did you join?
I joined for, that's the thing about it, man. Like, and I always hated when like in like the era of Vietnam where people would rag on like the soldiers, baby killers, like first of all, there was a draft back then. So like half of these motherfuckers didn't even want to go.
Right.
people were throwing shit at them and calling them baby killers. I'm like, half of these people don't want to go there. Now for me, man, I looked at the landscape, man. My mom couldn't afford to send me to college. And I just, my brother was already in the army. He was already had served 6 years. And I just, you know that moment where you just wake up and you're like, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, you just had that moment like, yo, I'm an adult. I don't want to just party and just bullshit all day. Like I need something more. Right. I had that moment, man. I had that epiphany one night, after like going out to drinks with a couple of chicks and just like, I just had that moment, right. Where I was just like, yo, I'm grown up. I can't do this anymore. And I called my brother. I was like, hey, I'll join. And he was shocked as anybody. Because I used to say, like, I'm not joining that war. I used to be one of those, like, I'm not joining the white man's army. They'll make you blah, blah, blah. But then I was like, hey, I saw, GI Bill, veterans, benefits, all that shit. And I just joined, man. And then even when I was in, I always knew it was bullshit. I knew it was bullshit. And when I deployed, it only confirmed it. We're not doing anything here. Like, we're literally just beating our heads against the wall. We're fighting these militias and we're killing most of them, but we are taking hits because, IEDs and, basically tactical stuff. But realistically, it's like, what's the point? After we talk, here's the thing, right? Afghanistan was reactionary. We just wanted to bomb and kill people because of 9/11. And at the moment, I was in favor of it because, I remember like the young Manny, 14, 15-year-old Manny, 2001, 9/11. I thought I knew foreign policy then. I was like, oh yeah, well, if Osama bin Laden was hiding out in Afghanistan and the Taliban is, there, like, let's bomb them. I don't think anybody imagined that 20 years later, we'd still be in Afghanistan.
Right.
Doing nothing. And that's the thing that people have to understand, right? Like, we go over there and it's like, literally, we're trying to help these countries become democracies, but they're not natural. It's not natural. We're just implementing and we're just propping up these. We take the lesser of two evils, tactic into our foreign policy. And it's just as much as disaster here as in there as it is here, right? Because in a sense, right, we said, like, for instance, Iraq, right? Lesser of two evils. Let's get rid of Saddam because he's a terror and he's this and he's that, and then we topple him, and then we'll just instill this puppet democracy, government. And the only democracy about it is that people actually get to vote for it. They're still corrupt in their own ways. They're still shitty, and they're still whatever, right? It's like, what are we doing? We're not accomplishing anything. And then it's like, now you're just enabling these militias, because that's the other thing about it. People don't understand. It's like there's these little militias, like that's what we're fighting over there. It's just militias and different like gangs and organizations that are all trying to like basically gain power. Right. So basically we're just a shield for a puppet government.
Right.
And it's a failure. And I think that it's finally time that we started realizing, like, yo, these people have to figure it out for themselves. Iraq has to figure this shit out for themselves. Afghanistan has to figure this shit out for themselves.
And I'll be honest with you, man, I think both Democrats and Republicans think, I think if there's like one thing for the most part that Democrats and Republicans, I don't know about politicians, I just mean the citizens, can agree on, is that. I mean, obviously, back in the day, like, there were both Democrats and Republicans who wanted to go, in Afghanistan and in Iraq and things like that. And then, you had the people who supported the war and, thought they were doing right. But I think after a while, I think most Americans have realized that, like, we've been there way too long, and that the mission that we said we were out to accomplish just wasn't the mission that our government said it was. And, I think if you were to poll I wonder what polling is now. I probably can look it up right now, but like, I'm pretty sure, man, whether you're conservative or liberal, like, we're tired of this shit. Like, we're tired of like seeing our friends and family go overseas and catch PTSD or die or come back not the same person. That's like, even if you come back alive, like, you're a different person. I'm sure you changed. I mean, I don't know if you have any conditions, but I mean, you probably seen some shit like that.
No, listen, I was blessed and lucky enough that I didn't see crazy shit. The effects I have is physical, man. Like I joined the military, I came back, and like a lot of the shit that happens to soldiers as far as injury is during deployment. Like you're wearing these heavy gear, you're wearing weapons, you're marching all the time, you're on your feet all day. You're wearing this heavy ass Kevlar. It's like it fucks with you, man. I'm fucked up. Like my neck's fucked up, my back's fucked up, my back, my knees. Obviously, I just had ACL surgery.
Your ACL,
so
went out probably.
Yeah. So that's I'm angry and sad because this is what I'm dealing with. Like I'm probably going to be in pain for the rest of my life. But then I'm also like happy that I don't have PTSD, that I'm not dealing with other shit that other people have and other friends of mine have. I'll be honest. Like I have friends that have PTSD. That have shit, that I've seen way more shit than I have. So yeah, man, it's I'm very passionate about this issue because again, it's like, we're not gaining anything. We're not doing anything. We're not winning. We're not accomplishing anything. We're just literally beating our heads against the wall and literally just trying the same thing over. We learned nothing from Vietnam. Vietnam was a disaster because of that. We're trying to prop up a puppet government and trying to make a democracy out of a country that doesn't necessarily want to be democratic. And it's the same thing with Afghanistan. It's the same thing with Iraq. It's the same thing going on with Yemen. It's just terrible.
We're either propping up a democracy in the Middle East or we're taking down democracies in, South America. Because it's not the democracies that we want. It's that American we want imperialism, and it's just
absolutely.
And it's just.
You ever notice that every single government that America has backed has been an absolute failure?
Yeah.
Legit, every single government that America has propped up has been an absolute disaster.
And like if a government's succeeding, like we just like, especially like a poor nation, like, oh, we can't deal with that. Especially if they have like natural resources like oil, like a Venezuela, like we can't. How dare they?
No, it's phony and fraudulent. But you said that. As far as politics, the only reason that I'm skeptical about this, man, is that people do not understand that war is big time business. Like you have all of these defense contractors that don't get it twisted. They have a lot of power and they donate to a lot of politicians. Yeah. Like it's legit, man. And you have these warmongers, these neocons, these guys that are literally they're starting it now. Oh, it's a disaster. You can't do that. You're Lindsey Grahams of the world. Why? Because they're all pocketing from defense contracts.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. War is a business.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. War is a fucking business.
And then the Middle East is very like, it's very complicated. There's different types of groups of militias on their own. And, a lot of Americans, for the most part, don't know who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, if there are good guys, if there are bad guys. So any politician, whether Democrat or Republican, can be like, we can't leave that area because if we leave, the Kurds will XYZ. And like the average American doesn't know the difference between, the different militias. So they hear that, they're like, oh, that must be ISIS or that they must be evil, because like it's very easy to fool your average American when it comes to forest policy. I think if anything, it's probably the easiest thing to fool anyone on both sides.
Yeah, I would agree.
We don't know anything that's going on in the Middle East. If a politician we trust is telling us, hey, like if we leave this area, like this group is going to take over and that's bad. You don't want that. I think it's very easy to convince your average American, whether Democrat or Republican, that like,
right. And then of course the media buys into all this shit too, because
they love it. This is what makes me laugh when it's about when conservatives call like CNN and MSNBC like the liberal media. I get they lean left with certain things, but at the end of the day, they're going to push war, period. That's not a liberal thing. Like they're going to push a lot of different things that are not liberal because they are backed by lobbyists and because they're backed by big money. CNN and MSNBC, they want war. They've always pushed for war. Always.
One thing Trump did that I could say was acceptable, that I could actually applaud him for, was Trump tried to get out of Afghanistan. He did. He really did. I will give him that. He tried to get out of Afghanistan. And what happened? The neocons, these generals at the Pentagon, those are the real fuckers too. They want this shit because they're all getting defense contract kickbacks. They know what the fuck is up. Like they know the game. And that's the thing about it, man. This is a game. People have to understand the game. They understand it. So don't fall into the hype of believing that these wars are about anything but money and imperialism. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all Afghanistan. I wouldn't say not so much Afghanistan, because Afghanistan at first was reactionary, and then it became just another war about imperialism and money. And I think the same. And Iraq was always I was always madder at the Iraq situation than the Afghanistan situation, because
Iraq is like, we identified them as the enemy, like the direct enemy.
They had nothing to do with 9/11. They had nothing to. This was just a thing that Bush had up his ass that he was going to do that his dad didn't, and lots of lives were lost that probably shouldn't have. And and then for that, what did you accomplish? Nothing. They literally, once they toppled Saddam, they had no plan. They didn't even have a government to institute. Yeah. They had no plan. And then we're surprised when the surge happened, when all these militias and all these gangs started piling up on them, because it's just like they didn't have any idea what to do.
Right. And for the record, for those who are listening and just don't know or know the history of it, like, and this is why people like Manny and I get so upset, because especially with the Democratic Party, it's like Joe Biden voted for this war knowing it was a lie. 2006 Hillary voted for it as well. So like, this is why we get so angry, and this is like there are reasons why, like, we don't give Biden credit, or this is why we're not so gung-ho about someone like Joe Biden. It's like, yeah, it's nice you're getting out of Afghanistan, but like, we shouldn't have been going down this road in the first place. And even though he voted for the Iraq war, like, one thing leads to another, and just having a president on the wrong side of history is, as someone who was against it, is just kind of like, I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
The other thing about it too is, like, we get out of Afghanistan, and what other area we're planning to bomb next? Because it's happening, right? Like, we don't normally have too many times of peace in this country, so we're just shaping up our pockets for the next war to come. So, man, if he does it, I'll be extremely excited and happy. Again, Joe Biden doesn't have to do anything else in my life in his 4-year term. If he gets us out of Afghanistan. If he gets us out of Afghanistan, man, he has my vote for the next term. That's because this is so important. I really believe this is very important. This is such a great step to finally getting the fuck out of Afghanistan.
I mean, if he can be the president that helps us get through the pandemic and gets us out of Afghanistan, I mean,
he's gonna waltz the re-election. Yeah, he just is, because the Republicans have nothing to offer. Like, what do they can?
They'll start a culture war.
Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, folks. Yeah, God.
Nikki Haley. I think DeSantis actually might be the freaking nominee.
He could be. Yeah, DeSantis. I think if Trump decides not to run, I think he'll back DeSantis. I think DeSantis is like a Trump light. Josh Hawley. Ugh.
No, Josh.
You know who I think? I think it'll be DeSantis or Tom Cotton. Right now, looking at it today, 2021. Obviously, things can change in the next 3 years.
It wouldn't surprise me if Cruz still kind of has a little bit of a.
Yeah, he'll run again. He'll run again, but Cruz is just so hated. Like, I just don't see anybody that's gonna. I don't see anybody that's gonna. Yeah, I think DeSantis. I think maybe a Cotton, maybe even somebody we're not thinking about. So who knows? But things can change in 3 years. I don't want to speculate elections and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, who can get the base more riled up with this cancel culture stuff, or
because I'll take you back to 2006-7 range. Who the hell would have thought Barack Obama would have won an election?
2016, who would have thought Donald Trump?
Exactly. So yeah. But hey, let's all hope as Americans that Joe Biden, sticks to his word and gets us out by September 11th. I think that all of us as a country, we can unite on that fact that it's definitely time to get the fuck out of Afghanistan.
Also, when you bring these troops home, there needs to be some system in place to take care of them as well.
Here. Absolutely.
That as well.
Trust. Yes, absolutely. I guess we could wrap up with the sad case. Another one, Duane Wright. I just don't even know what to say anymore, man. I just honestly
say?
There's nothing to say, man. There's nothing to say. There's nothing to write about. I'm just tired. That's what it is. I'm just tired.
I'm exhausted, man. I can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't. I can't. And it's half of it is like it happening over and over again, but the other half is just like, and this is where I trip myself up, where it's like I still care with like the opposition says and what they think. Like I cannot for the life of me reconcile with the fact that I know and love people or grew up with people who I used to hang out with that like think that this is okay. I can't believe I share the same country as these human beings, and I can't believe that I ever thought that they were these empathetic people that, you know, had any sort of knowledge of what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, it's it's my daughter walks in the chat here. Nah, man, I don't know what else to do, man. I don't know what else to say. It's like it just keeps happening and nothing. And I think the most frustrating thing about it is it just keeps happening and nothing will change.
Right.
Nothing changes. Nothing is you know, nothing. Seriously.
I don't know what she's trying to say.
You feel passionate about this issue too? As she's mocking me talk here. And now my other daughter just got here. It's just a party in AGS tonight. No, man, as far, you know, look, man, I kind of just feel defeated. I'm just like you, man. I don't know what else to say or do. It just feels like we're beating the heads against the wall, and it's just like nothing's changing. You know, I mean, it's just what else?
But like, I'm running out of like patience in the sense where it's like, I don't think training can fix this. I don't think any type of like racial sensitivity training can fix this. And I say this because one of my friends, the only friend who I'm holding on to pretty much from the right is a cop. And I hear him talk about these issues, and like he takes racial sensitivity training as an insult. He takes certain types of training as an insult. Like, who are you to tell me what to do? I'm a cop. I know what I'm doing. Who are you to tell me that I'm racist? They take it as all that, and they don't even take this training seriously to begin with. So for me, I don't know how you tear down the system and rebuild it, because I do think there should be some type of authority. Obviously, the police have some tremendous amount of overreach right now. They're supposed to respond to situations, not create them. I don't know what to do, but I just can't reconcile with what's going on, and just have to be honest where it's like, it's a problem with the police. It's a problem with the system, but it's also mostly a problem with the people who become cops, because it attracts a certain kind of person. And until that job stops attracting that type of person, we're going to continue to have these problems. You're mute.
I totally agree. And I can't even debate that for you. You're absolutely right. And I'm tired. And I used to be one of those that defended like, oh, there's good cops and there's just a few bad apples. No, it's not just a few bad apples. It's the culture. It's the culture, man. And look, I don't want to sit here and say, and I don't want to disrespect cops, because I do have cops in my family. I've had former cops in my, like, retired good people, but it's a culture thing, man. It's a culture thing. And it's, you know, it needs to be called out. I know that there's good cops. I know that there's good people as cops, but they don't have the power that they need to make this stop. And they should be outraged. I'm calling out, again, I say this every time this happens. I'm calling out the good apples, the few bad, the good apples, right? You know, I'm calling them out. Where are you? You should be outraged by this. You should be disgusted that literally this shit keeps happening and it keeps making me look bad. Me being good cop. Like, where are you? Where's the outrage? Where's the conversation? Where's the feeling of like, yo, we cannot continue to go like this? And it's like, you don't see it. It's non-existent. And
they because don't exist, man. They don't exist.
I think part of them exist. I think it's just the culture and the infrastructure. I think it's the culture and the infrastructure. Because look at the culture, right? If you go, let's say you're the bad guy, you're the bad apple, I'm the good apple. If you shoot a Duane Brown, right, or a Duane, what's his last name? Duane Wright. You know, if you shoot that kid, and I sit there and I go public and I say, yo, this is fucked up, this is bullshit, you're automatically ostracized. You're automatically just ostracized.
You're ostracized because most cops aren't good apples. Like, if it was a case where it's a few bad apples, then the good apples could speak up and the bad apples would be taken away. The good apples would have no problem speaking up because the other good apples would basically come to their defense. The problem is it's the opposite. If there were enough good apples, this wouldn't be a problem. The problem is there are very few good apples, So the good apples don't want to speak up because the bad apples will basically.
Yeah. Maybe you're right, man. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm not a cop. I just think there are some good people, but I think they have to be held accountable too, man. They're a part of the problem. You are literally, and I'm saying this to the good apples, to the good people that quote unquote permeate these police departments, right? You are part of the problem. Your lack of silence is just as much of a problem as the stupid idiot who shot this kid. Like, you're just about, and I'm just, again, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the few bad apples. I'm tired of like, no. I will say that I think it's also the culture. I think it's the infrastructure. I think these police unions have a lot of power. People don't realize they have a lot of power. They influence a lot, and especially in these local communities, they influence a lot. And it's just like, I've seen it firsthand. I work in local government. Like, these police unions are powerful. They will destroy you as a politician if you, and just anything. So that's why I'm a little like, that's why I'm sensitive a little bit to the good cops in a sense, or I used to be sensitive to the good cops because I felt like, the infrastructure is in place where you can't have this. But no, man, fuck that. This shit needs to stop, man. This shit needs to stop. And we really need to address the training and
I don't think training can fix it, dude.
You're right. Maybe I don't know what can fix it. I'm just fucking tired of it, man. I'm just tired of black kids, black women, people of color getting murdered on these streets, man. And what makes me so upset is that we find excuses to justify it. Oh, she thought it was a taser. No, I don't give a fuck if you thought it was a taser. I don't care. It's a whoops. It's a whoops. I don't care about that. A kid lost their lives, whatever he may have did. And I hate this other thing too. Oh, well, he was trying to be arrested. Like, we're not saying don't put these people in jail. If Michael Brown committed a crime, he should be in jail, not dead.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not dead.
Right. Period.
That's not what we're saying. We're saying is like, these people have rights. We have rights. I have rights. People that look like me have rights. And we deserve to be treated like human beings. You think about it. There's people that have been mass shooters, literally criminals, that have been treated better than Tamir Rice, than a Trayvon Martin, than a fucking Duane Wright, Eric Garner. The list goes on and on. The fact that these names are synonymous now with this, the fact that these names are known. I never wanted to know what an Eric Garner was, or Duane Wright was, or an Alton Sterling. I didn't want to know what these people were, but we do. They've become part of the lexicon because this is now as American as apple pie. Another black dude got shot in the street. It must be a Tuesday. It's disgusting, and I'm frustrated, man. And the most frustration about it is because I've faced discrimination from the police before. Like, I have a son who eventually is going to grow up into this world and be a target. Like, that's what it is. And it pisses me off for people that are listening to this that may be white. Like, you don't understand. It's especially hard for me, man, because it's like, I have a fucking son who's 6 years old who eventually will go out into these streets and be considered a fucking target.
Right.
I'm a target.
Yeah.
When I go out too late and my wife hasn't heard from me, like, she gets scared. She gets nervous because she's like, and the first thing she says is like, they're killing black men in these streets.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to go out, like, I used to live in the hood and I used to fear my own kind. No, I fear the police. Like, legit fear the police. Like, I don't fear, Jamal in the corner trying to sell me a fucking dime bag. Like, no, I fear the police.
Right.
Legit. Like,
and I think a lot of people grow up in neighborhoods, especially rural America, right, where you probably hear most of like the pushback is a lot of these people just grow up in rural America where it's like that, Friday Night Lights type, where it's like small town, cop is my friend, comes over for dinner, knocks on my door very politely. That exists in like
that exists. Yeah, but that's not my life. That's not my experience.
Right, and that's not the experience of a lot of black men and women. And then also, I mean, I don't want to like same. I've been discriminated against. Like, it's sure. Weird. Like, I think anyone who's like a person of color it goes through it at some point. More specifically, black men and women. But as a Puerto Rican man, like I have more run-ins with the cops than any of my white friends combined.
No, and it's like, and I'm speaking to white people, right? Like, it's. Like, it's also up to you guys, man. If you feel disgusted by this, if you feel like you guys have the power, you guys are the majority, and you guys don't feel the empathy or the fact that, yo, it's like, that's what drives me the most insane, right? It's like, we literally have a situation where Black people are being targeted and killed on these streets. And you have people saying they can't even empathize with that. They can't even empathize with it. Like,
it's wild.
It's just so mind-boggling to me. It doesn't even seem like it's possible to me that you could just literally be this, like, just tone deaf. All lives matter. Really? That's what, all lives matter? Really?
Well, and this is the thing. Like, they come from towns where, like, this stuff doesn't happen or exist. Like, if you grew up, like, in, I don't know, Iowa, right?
But it's not even Iowa. There's motherfuckers that feel like and they grew up in fucking Hoboken. Like, it's like it doesn't change. True. It's just again, because you've never walked in the shoes of a Black man or a person of color, you just can't understand. For them, anyway, that's how they feel.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've never been a Native American, but I can empathize with, you know, the issues in the Native American community, right? Like, I can empathize. Like, yo, if like suddenly, you know, Native Americans were being slaughtered by the police, I would empathize with that. I would be outraged by that. I would be like, yo, this is fucked up and we need to stop it. Right. Instead of like, well, all lives matter.
Or at least recognize that, like, just know that you don't know. And accept that you don't know and be empathetic towards that. Say, you know what? That's not my experience with cops. I don't know, but I know that I don't know what it feels like. Let me learn something. Yeah. Because I mean, as someone, and like I said, I'm not Black, but as growing up, person of color, I've never been, like, happy to see police. Police have always scared me, always. And it's not, my parents didn't really teach me to fear the police, but I've always was taught to kind of, like, tread lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my older brother was Black. So I think I had a little bit to do with it because they would talk to us at the same time. And, you know, so I don't know, man. It's just like it's a different reality for Black men and women, you know, the talks that they get growing up and that I got as a person of color growing up, as opposed to, like, you know, a white family, you know, who has cops in the family, who grew up in suburbia. It's a completely different story. And I don't think most people know that.
They don't know that, and they can't. And it's like, the thing about it, they can't empathize. Like, that's just
because they can't fathom it. A lot of people can't fathom it because, like, they're friends with cops, and I think it plays a large role in it, man. I really do think it does. Like, they're able to you're able to humanize what you can experience, right? So if you're a white man or woman and you know a lot of cops, but you don't know a lot of Black people, or you're not friends with Black people, but you're friends with cops, you know what it's like. Your best friend's married to a cop. Your husband's a cop. You don't have Black friends.
But the thing is, like, the when I see this shit from people that actually have Black friends, that tells me, like, and
that's crazy to me.
And I think Shannon Sharp said it right. Like, I don't want to misquote him, but you've seen the clip of him.
Yeah, he's like, you don't have Black friends, you just know Black people.
And that's one of the realest shit I've ever seen. Like, yeah, you don't have Black friends. You have Black people that you know, right? Because if you can't sit there and say, yo, someone that is a human being, that he or she may not have the same skin color, but they're a human being. They have rights. I should empathize with that. And you don't. What are we doing here? What are we? You know what I mean? That's the thing. I'm sorry I'm not as passionate or hardcore as I usually am with this shit, but I'm tired, guys.
Yeah, exhausted.
I'm just exhausted by it. Yeah. I'm honestly just, like, literally just exhausted by it. You know what I mean? All this while the George Floyd trial is going on, or the Derek Chauvin trial is going on, and it's just like, I don't even want to pay attention to that trial because it's just like,
is it me? Like, I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but wasn't the country, like, all in unison that Derek Chauvin, like, murdered George Floyd? Like, even conservatives were like, okay, you got this one. Mm-hmm. But now, like, all of a sudden I'm not saying all conservatives, but there's, like, an alarming amount of conservatives who are like, wait a second. Now, maybe, like, it might be being led by the Charlie Kirks and the Steven Crowders of the world. But from what I remember, for the most part, everyone was like, oh, yeah, George Floyd was murdered. But then when the protest happened in Minneapolis, that's when conservatives were like, but we don't agree with you rioting and burning down the city. And that's when they got mad again.
They're more passionate about targeting.
We agreed with you. We agreed with you on this murder. What's wrong? How come you had to burn down a city?
Right.
And that's the feedback I got, by the way.
They care. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. They care more about the target being burned down than
than the U.S. Capitol being invaded.
Don't start there. No, they care more about that than they do about Eric Garner or Tamir Rice. Like literally a 14-year-old kid lost his life for just a toy fucking gun. Imagine that. Like I think about that. Like again, Tamir Rice, he was younger. I thought he was 14. No, he was 14.
Tamir Rice?
Tamir Rice was 14.
Yeah. 12.
12. Okay. I was off by 2 years. Yeah. But think about that. Like my son is 6. My son is 6. Like Tamir Rice could literally be my son someday, playing in the street, not thinking of it, playing with a toy gun, and a cop just shoots him.
And the crazy thing too, to add on top of that, these are the same people who want more guns. So you want more guns? You want everyone to have a gun? Like, what do you think cops, how do you think cops are going to react in certain situations if they assume that everybody has a gun? There's going to be more black people dead. And honestly, quite frankly, there'll be more white people too. It's just going to be complete chaos. It's just I don't understand people who advocate for more guns. It's literally one of the most illogical arguments in any type of political,
because they're full of shit. They have no real argument. They're just throwing out shit just for their own personal agenda. They have no real.
There's no data to back it up. There's nothing on your side that can prove that more guns is safer. I mean, every time you defend a cop for killing an innocent black man, it's like, well, he could have had a gun. And then the next sentence out of your mouth when we debate gun control is, well, I think more people should have guns. And it's like, how do you not realize the world you're setting up here?
It's literally just, it's
crazy.
I was trying to find a better word, but yeah, it's crazy.
But I need my gun to protect myself from tyranny and overthrow the government.
This government.
But now, not only so now you want to protect yourselves from the people who are literally doing that, and you want to put more guns on the street so the people who are already doing that can fear more, so they can kill more people. And it's like, do you even realize what you're saying? Like none of it makes sense. It
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Crazy.
And it just shows you that their warped reality, what their warped reality is. There's the warped views. Nah, man, I don't even have any words for the conservatives.
Yeah, I don't either, man. It's one of those things where it's like, to me, conservatives are just people who haven't logically thought through their processes. Because I'm honest, like I know that sounds harsh, but like, to me, like, there's no way. And this is going to sound really, 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 really harsh, but there's no way you can be a logical thinking human being and be a conservative. There's no way. I can understand if you're an evangelical and you believe in God and Jesus and things like that, and there's certain like conservative values that you have, but your conservative values do not match up with what conservatism is in America today. It's not the same thing. Your definition of conservative is different than the Republican definition of conservative. And I just wish more, I guess, white evangelicals realize that.
You're here, man. I just, I don't even have words for these idiots anymore. It's just, it's like, what's the point? What's the point? As far as Duane Wright, man, I just feel for his family. Hopefully we get justice. I have no hope in that. I have no optimism in that shit. I actually think Derek, I believe so. Yeah, she was charged for. I don't remember what she was charged for, but I know she was charged for something. And then, of course, she resigned. But
did you just say you think Derek Chauvin's gonna get off?
I do.
Were you about to say that?
I have no, because I have what faith do I have in the American justice system for black people? This should be a slam dunk, and the fact that there's like literally a level of like
doubt.
Yeah, and plus I've heard people debate, like say that experts say that Derek Chauvin, they still think he will go to jail, but they're thinking like, there's still a possibility.
I'll tell you what, if he's found innocent, you know what? I know what you're feeling. Yeah. I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're feeling. So you don't have to say it. Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way too, bro. I feel the same way. If he's innocent, then it's like, yeah, there's just no,
There's no words I could say here to describe it, but just know that, yeah, shit will be crazy. Shit will definitely be crazy. Because then it's like, what? I know I said this earlier. What are we doing? Like, no, seriously, legit, what are we doing here? This is just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Yeah. Like this means nothing now in the grand scheme of things. Right. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm praying and I'm hoping that this man goes to jail, but I don't trust this justice system, especially for people like me. I don't trust this justice system, man. I don't. I just have no reason to believe that. Yeah. And this is for everything. That's not just this case. Everything. Every single case involving Black people, I'm just always skeptical of the justice system. Because again, look at the track record. Look at the history. It's failed us at each and every time. Legit. It's designed to do that. Literally, it's designed to do that. So, yeah, I don't even want to go on a big tangent about what we can do, because I feel like we have this discussion on any podcast every day. What can we do? How can we fix the problem? We're not fixing the problem.
The whole system needs to be torn down and built back up. Like I said, I don't mind the idea of police, but I think their role in society has to be completely different than what it is right now. And
you have to get different people to be police officers. You have to change their roles.
Right.
I do think that the job of policing is hard, but this is what I do get pissed off about. You know, because the biggest defense is, oh, well, being a cop is hard. So is being a fucking dentist. But if dentists were out here killing people, a la Corbin Burnson in The Dentist, the movie, like, we would have a fucking problem.
Right.
Like, I'm just so tired of, they have a hard job. You know, sanitation workers have hard jobs. You know, teachers have hard jobs.
Doctors,
nurses have jobs. There's a lot of people that have hard jobs. They fucking signed up for it. You knew, like, being in the military, we had a fucking hard job.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't give you the right to violate people's rights and kill them. Just doesn't. I don't care how hard your fucking job is. Yeah. I don't even want to continue, bro, because it's like, what else can you say about this shit? What else can we say that hasn't been said? Or that, you know, yeah. Let's just hope this kid and his family gets some sort of justice. Let's hope. And you know, and I'll finish with this. You know, the other outrageous thing is that this literally happens in the same town or whereabouts area that George Floyd happens. What a year. So that means these cops have literally learned nothing. That's the other thing about it. They literally, you would think George Floyd in our area, you would think we're going to tread lightly. We're not going to, like, there's not going to be a fucking incident where a cop gets.
They were more mad at the protest. They were more mad. I mean, their police department got burned down, by the way, by a right winger. It wasn't by anyone who was pro Black Lives Matter. Their police department was burned down by someone who leaned right. Don't know why he did it. I guess he tried to frame some Black Lives Matter protesters. So they're not mad about that.
That's what it was.
Not mad about what happened in the Capitol. But God forbid Black people. And honestly, it's the one thing I'm happy about is that it's not just Black people right now standing up for what's right. I'm seeing a lot of different groups coming together, and that makes me happy. It's slowly happening, but you know, there are more of my white friends speaking up and saying things, and but we just need everybody. We need everybody because things aren't going to dramatically change until we get everybody. So,
yeah, man, absolutely. I'm just emotionally, I'm just out of it, man. I can't even.
No, I'm with you, man. I was in a cloud. I was in a cloud this week for sure. I was too.
Yeah. I don't know what we do, man. I don't know, but like I said, like you said, I'll reiterate: the system needs to be torn down completely. It's failed. It's a failed experiment, and it's just and this all it does is just solidify it. So, yeah, man. All right, man. I hate to end the show on such a somber note. So,
yeah,
but
that was a good show.
Yeah, good show, man. Good show. We got to talk about on this show sometime. We got to talk about your TV watching experience. You know, because I don't see you talk about TV shows too much.
I don't really watch TV, man. I fell in love with one TV show.
What is the TV show?
Mr. Robot is my favorite television show.
Yes, Mr. Robot. We still have to have a conversation about Mr. Robot.
My favorite show.
Oh my God, I wish you watched Snowfall.
A lot of friends of mine watch Snowfall.
You should watch Snowfall.
A lot of my Black friends. Is it a Black show?
It's predominantly a Black show, but it's like you would find that entertaining. Yeah,
I'm someone like it's very difficult for me to get excited about something and like give it a shot. Like I get very bored easily. I'm like I have ADD. Like Mr. Robot, just honestly, it happened by accident. So
watch Snowfall. Let me know what you like. Give it a shot. Watch like 3 episodes. Right? It's on FX, but you can catch like all if you have Hulu or whatever. Okay. I'll send you my fucking Hulu.
Maybe that'll be like my homework assignment.
Yeah, man, because it's like, listen, as listeners, the audience, we gotta get Josh to watch some TV, man. First of all, he needs a break in his life, but TV will do this, and then also, man, he's missing out on such great TV, man. Jesus, there's so many great shows out. You gotta watch. Okay, you may not be able to watch all of them, but you gotta watch Snowfall.
Okay, Snowfall.
The criteria to be a host on this show is you gotta watch, because I gotta talk about Snowfall with somebody.
Okay,
I'm doing some podcast appearances this week coming up, reviewing the season finale. But yeah, for season 5, man, I hope that you're all caught up and we can talk about. So I think you would like it. Like it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's other shows I can recommend if you do like after that. But yeah,
okay.
Baby steps. All right. I think that's it. I think we accomplished everything, talked about everything. Anything you want to leave the listeners with before we get out of here?
Typical stuff. If you're into NBA, you can follow my podcast, The Dime with Josh Rodriguez, on all podcast platforms. The handle is at The Dime NBA. If for any reason you're into boy bands, you can follow New Pod on the Block. We're going on our 3rd season. We'll be releasing episodes mid-May, so look out for that as well.
Hey, I got to make an appearance on New Pods on the Block.
It's a very interesting podcast.
I've got things to say. Let's just leave it like that. I got things to say. Man. Yeah, for sure. Check out New Pods on the Block. Check out obviously The Dime. Check out everything that Josh has going on everywhere else. Yeah, man, he's dope. Check him out. Definitely check out me and this podcast. If you're listening, if you like what we do, please, I can't stress this enough. Go to iTunes, go to Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. First of all, subscribe and listen, and then leave us a review, man. We desperately need it. We definitely appreciate it. I think we're doing big things on this show, but we can't do that without you guys. So please, if you like what you're listening to, and I get it all the time. I get it in DMs, and I tell people all the time, yeah, take that, just put it in a review.
Yep.
And it'd be so perfect. No, but for sure, please, I can't ask and beg you guys enough. If you guys like us, like what we're doing, like what we're listening, or you do listening to, and like what we bring to the table, please drop a review. And as always, you can find this podcast on all platforms. You can follow me on all platforms at The Manuel Brown, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. This show at AGS Pod on Twitter, AGS Podcast on Instagram. Check out my new baseball pod, I Love Baseball, episode 5 dropped today. Go check that out. You can find that show on all platforms as well, and then you could follow that show on Twitter, IL Baseball Pod. So yeah, a lot of things going on, and of course you could follow me on Dead End Sports. I'm there some Tuesdays, but mostly Thursdays. I wasn't there this week because I had busy stuff going on, but yeah, check out Dead End Sports and all the other items all the other shows that are on the Dead End Sports or Dead End Podcast Network. So yeah, man, it's late. I'm tired. So yeah, let's get out of here. For Josh Rodriguez, I am Manny Brown. Hopefully you guys have a happy, safe, blessed week. We are out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Just one cornetto, give it to me. Delicious ice cream from HB.
Delicious, creamy, crunchy wafer cone. And the secret chocolate hidden in the tip. Reconnect with the ones you love this summer.
For you and me.
There's just one cornetto from HB Ice Cream.
Blue Sky deals have landed with KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. Take off to Barcelona, Dubai, Panama and many more destinations. Book with confidence with our flexible options at klm.ie by 16th September. Fly KLM via Amsterdam from Dublin or Cork Airport. T's and C's apply.